Hi, and welcome to another edition of Cracking a Box with Comic Town. I'm one of your hosts, Jacob Branstetter.
And I'm JP Adams.
And today we're going to be cracking a fresh box of Khans of Tarkir.
Okay, and here at Comic Town, if you want to get a box of Khans of Tarkir, there's a way you can get one just by winning a tournament. This month, for our Friday Night Magic events, at 7 p.m. for Draft and 7:30 for Standard, the first place winner of each of those tournaments will win a box sealed of Khans of Tarkir, with booster packs going to the rest of the players 2nd through 8th. So come on down for those events. How much are they, Jacob?
All available for the low price of $15 for Draft and $10 for Standard.
So hopefully we'll see you down here for those events.
And today we're going to start off by introducing your Buy a Box promo. This time around, it's going to be the Rattleclaw Mystic. I think it's a pretty hot foil, and I think you had mentioned you think it'll see some Standard play.
Right, it'll see a little bit of Standard play right now. I expect to see a lot more Standard play after the rotation, and the awesome part is if you come down to Comic Town and buy a box of Khans of Tarkir, you'll get the foil Rattleclaw Mystic promo to go along with it. Speaking of a sealed box, let's go ahead and dive in.
Got it.
Real classy, Jacob, real classy.
Try.
Stay classy, Columbus.
Amen. All right.
I believe I called dibs on opening the first pack.
You did call dibs on opening the first pack. And let's just keep this right back here. Okay. All right.
Just like how a person eats their Reese's, how they open a pack is just as telling of what a person is like.
Okay. So we got 10 uncommons, so that means no foil in this pack. And our rare is Retribution of the Ancients.
Ooh, that's a fine rare.
Which removes +1 counters from creatures to give -X to... I'm going to pretend like that card's not in the pack for the rest of this discussion, because I really don't think that as we're looking at these packs that they're going to be that good of a first pick. As a heads up, Jacob and I basically exclusively play Limited, so if you're looking for constructed commentary, you're going to get a little of that, but not a lot. Since both of us do play lots of drafting, both sealed and booster drafts, you're going to get a lot of comments from us about what we would be first picking out of these packs. And speaking of first
right
pack,
off the bat, I'm seeing Murderous
Cuts. This card is insanely good. It destroys any creature, and pretty much a couple turns into the game, this is going to be turned on to being able to cast for 3, 2...
I mean, in Limited, and I would hope to see it in Constructed. I think it might be good enough. I mean, especially with fetch lands being in the format to fill up your graveyard relatively quickly. Right. And even in the late game, it's still a 4-black removal spell, and it is an instant. So that is very strong.
For me, the second card that I would pick after this would be Treasure Cruise. Both of the Delve cards in this pack are very, very powerful, and neither lock you into a color, which in Khans of Tarkir is, well, correct, Wedge, which is very good, because in Khans of Tarkir, you're probably going to be playing a 3-card deck, and keeping your color options open is very important. For me, my first pick, Murderous Cuts.
Oh, I would agree, 100%.
All right, let's scoop these guys out of the way.
Pack 1, guys, and our fetch count is in fact at 0 at this point. But
and we will be doing a fetch count, just like you would do a storm counts in a game. We'll be keeping track of them to make sure we know where we are. All right, here we go with pack number 2. No foil in this pack either. So we'll go ahead and lay these guys out here. So here are our 10 commons in the pack. 1 piece of fixing here in the Dismal Backwater. Our 3 uncommons in Stubborn Denial, Opulent Palace, and the Mardu Rough Rider. And our rare is the quite powerful Master of Pearls, giving your creatures basically an overrun effect whenever he's turned face up, which in all of the white decks in this format is going to be very powerful. Because
there's a lot of token generators and things that give you 1/1s and such. That being said, that's very likely one of my first picks. A very high pick for me, honestly, are the Tri-lands. I think those are going to go pretty quickly. Even if they only share 2 of the colors, it is still the same as a dual land with the potential to splash a 3rd color. So they're just very strong.
Set, just like in Shards of Alara, is going to be very, very key to building a strong Limited deck. And I don't know if, like in Shards of Alara, that the Tri-lands are going to be first pickable. In this pack, I'd say honestly it's pretty close.
I mean, the rare obviously
the rare is the best one,
it's
and the rare is always going to be your first pick if it's powerful enough. Beyond that, it's Opulent Palace, Smite the Monstrous for me. And
When you obviously look for removal first,
right.
or
right.
right after bombs.
Right. So for me, I'm locking in Master of Pearls.
Oh, very clearly.
Yeah.
And then Opulent
And then-
Palace is a close second for me,
For
honestly.
me, my second's going to be Smite the Monstrous, but that's because I like.
Oh, well, obviously removal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll scoop these out of the way. You go ahead and grab the next pack out.
Forest. All right, that's a good start. Good start. I thought that was a Windswept Heath for just a brief moment.
Getting a
But I did get a foil. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Valley Dasher. It dashed my hopes of
All
it
right,
being a good
Trail
foil.
of... this has a lot of words, so I'm going to turn this around for a brief moment and read it.
While you're reading all those words, I'll let you know that that card is fairly miserable.
Yeah.
And
If you have a lot of morph creatures, that's a fine late pickup, but that is definitely not something I would be willing to first pick.
yeah,
That being said, a very strong uncommon piece of removal is the Suspension Field.
that's what I was looking at as my first pick out of this pack. That would be one I would go for. Crippling Chill's another one. Cantripping while tapping down a creature is an excellent effect to have. If you're looking for removal type effects, none of the creatures really pop out at me.
The Outlast uncommon cycles are actually pretty strong. Outlast is a pretty strong mechanic. It can break standstill. I mean, it kind of in the name Outlast, so you're outlasting your opponent. It kind of breaks some standstills if you build it up enough. So I think those are actually pretty strong. I didn't get a chance to play with any this past weekend, unfortunately, in my sealed pool, but I saw a lot of people doing some pretty strong things with
Right.
a lot of those cards.
But I think I'm with you. I think for me, my first pick is definitely going to be the Suspension Field.
Yeah, I would agree. And
All right. Let's move on to our next pack of cards. Still have a... Yeah.
Still, fetch count
Still the
0.
fetch count 0.
That is so disappointing. 4 packs in, I was expecting to have at least 3 fetches at this point.
All right, so no fetch in this pack, but we do have an emblem to look at here, which is Sarkhan, the Dragon Speaker's emblem, which
exciting.
is a lot of fun because Sarkhan is going to be a big feature in this set and the block in general, considering he's one of the main storyline characters for this.
Absolutely.
That being said, let's get into the pack. We'll look at the commons first, as usual.
Oh god, the suspense is killing me, JP.
And I'm not seeing any commons I'm first picking yet. This guy is good as an Outlaster, as is the Abzan Guide. Our uncommons here. Let me straighten this guy out. We got the Chief of the Edge, Pine Walker, and the Ice Feather Aven. Chief of the Edge obviously going in the Warrior White-Black deck.
He's a very strong card. He's a 2-mana 3/2. He puts on pressure quick. If you have any way to beef his toughness, or even just get an attack through with a 2-drop, that is pretty good.
Although speaking of good White-Black cards, this card is called Utter End. For 4 mana,
At
1
instant
white,
speed.
and 1 black, you can exile anything as long as it's not a land.
Yeah, that's a first pick for me.
Right.
That
And
being
the reason
said-
I turn this over, this card is obviously quite good. It's going to be great in Constructed and excellent in Limited. But I'm going to turn it face down because I feel like most of the time, if your rare is bomby enough, you're going to first pick it
yeah, clearly. That's-
regardless.
yeah.
So let's take time to talk about some of the other cards in the pack.
I did have an opportunity to play with this guy over the weekend. He was very strong for me, especially in conjunction with another one of him, or even the guy who pumps Warrior's toughness. There are plenty of Warriors, especially within the Mardu clan, that it's very strong on its own, but especially in a draft format. Like, I got lucky and sealed and had some Warriors. When you're able to kind of draft a Warrior deck and be able to pick that guy up early, he is very strong.
I think that's where we see at the uncommon level where we start getting some draft around me cards. Chief of the Edge plus its inverse card, which I'm trying to remember
Yeah, I
what
don't
the
know
name
what
of
it's
it is.
called.
But they both seem to go very well together in the Warrior tribal deck. For me, I like to play a little bit more controlling and limited, and so my eyes immediately go to the Ice Feather Aven. On turn 4 or 5, being able to turn the Aven face up, have it have evasion, and being able to bounce a dude.
that card is very, very strong.
Seems
I mean, I think I'm
super
picking that
good.
first as well, for sure. But if we're talking second, or like third, fourth pick, and this guy's coming around, I'm picking him up because I'm starting to
Right.
think that's wide open.
Right. For me, beyond obviously the Utter End,
yeah.
my first pick is definitely
That's
the
clearly
Ice
my
Feather
first pick.
Aven.
Second one over that would probably be the Chief of the Edge. And then come later in the pack, you got a little bit of fixing to kind of balance you out. Maybe you're hoping like this tables if you pick that up for maybe splashing black in that deck. So
All right, let's move on to the next pack.
is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
right. Let me tell you, got a foil again. Man, I'm good at those foils. I'll tell you what. That is a strong rare.
That is a
Start
very
with the
strong rare.
So with these here comes
Jeskai Charm
up
as
there.
well.
clearly again very powerful, very powerful rare.
Yeah.
Does a lot of things. I saw it wreck some
Now-
people over the weekend.
One of the disadvantages I have on commenting on things is I judged this weekend, and so I got to see a lot of these cards played. I did not actually get a chance to play in the format. So Jacob, do you think the format is at a speed where you could reasonably turn 1,000 Winds face up on turn 7
Sealed
and
is
get the
a
effect out of
bit
it?
different than draft, in which sealed is a very heavy bomb-oriented format. Bombs are much stronger in sealed because people can't build decks around being quite as aggressive. You have to get lucky, more lucky with an aggressive pool. You can, design your deck obviously within your pool and be, decide to go a little more aggressive. But when you get to draft a deck, it can start to speed up, and I will be curious to see how fast the limited format is here.
So I guess my question is...
Right now,
that-
I think he's close to first pickable. I also think that Jeskai Charm is very good. As far
being
as
able to
uncommons.
flame javelin any creature they have. Oh, it flame javelins opponents only. Ooh. That actually kind of changes my mind on Jeskai Charm. There's the one spell, I think it's the Mardu Charm, is the one that deals 4 damage to creatures. And this only doing damage to opponents.
Well, it's in the Jeskai Wedge, which I guess they're saying that the type of effect it's going to have is, you got direct damage to a player, and then, but as far as for creatures goes, is when you're putting them on top of their owner's library. And obviously not a lot of fetches in limited, so in response to a fetch is obviously very good. But
Right. I think for me, I'm between these two just because this is it's a good removal piece. But I think for me, the 1,000 Winds, even just being a 5/6 for 6, if I have to cast it
oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
create
He's definitely
some sort
fine.
of- yeah.
And I believe does it say all other? Yeah, all other.
Yes.
So you cannot tap him and then flip him and
Correct.
then yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a mediocre pack. I'm not terribly excited with this pack.
I'm still first pissing 1,000 Winds, and I'm guessing you're doing the same.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next pack. And
Fetch round count.
fetch
It's
count
still
is
zero
still
fetches.
0. So we'll start with the commons here. And second row of commons. Nothing really jumping out at me quite yet. Let's go to the uncommons with Swarm of Bloodflies, Dragon Eye Savants, and the Heart Piercer Bow. Of these, again, I think the morphers that you can flip face up by just revealing a color of a card are very powerful. Even though the savants themselves are very slow, becoming an 06 essentially wall, I do think that's something that a few of the control decks in this format can use.
Oh,
to their
absolutely.
advantage.
I'm not saying it's not strong. I just don't see it as a first pickable card.
Right. Speaking of first pickable cards, if you want your value back, this is a card called Wooded
First
Foothills.
fetch land count 1.
Yeah, so that's Wooded Foothills. If I'm looking to get my money back from a draft, I'm definitely first picking the Wooded Foothills.
If I really like my neighbor, I'm going to pass the Wooded Foothills, so that's about it.
Right. But if I'm actually building a deck, if I'm at a GP and I'm on day 2, I'm probably not picking the Wooded Foothills. I'm going to be looking for something that I can use to my benefit, and I feel like for me it's between the Dragon Eye Savant if I'm going towards a more controlling route, or if I'm building a slightly more aggressive deck. I'm probably going to be looking at either the Mystic of the Hidden Way or the Inoc Tracker. The Inoc Tracker giving first strike, and when it gets flipped up, can be a huge combat trick on top of just being a really good card, and then flipping up an unblockable dude on turn 4 seems pretty good for me.
Yeah, I
if I'm
agree.
not picking the Wooded Foothills,
Despite the fact that there is a money card in this pack, it's a little bit
eeny, meeny,
underwhelming.
miny, this one probably for my first pick. Mystic of the Hidden Way. Unblockable just seems
Yeah,
really
invasive
good.
creatures are good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's your first pick beyond the Wooded Foothills?
I'm just going to pick the Wooded Foothills.
Okay. That seems really simple and easy. And we'll keep this out. Our fetch count
Okay.
is 1.
And our fetch count is still 1. Bummer.
Oh.
Oh well, that guy is real good. He's going directly into my Chainer EDH deck. 100%.
That is true.
And uncommons.
Okay.
Well, we got to fetch. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we're keeping the
Okay.
fetch count where
All right.
people can see them because people are interested.
This card, in addition to being a nice little morph it up, like they don't know that they're going to give you value when they kill your dudes or in blockers, you can morph it up as a surprise. Again, morphing up a 2/2 into an additional power, still not bad. And honestly, just the effect of having multiple morph creatures and your opponent has literally no idea what you could possibly have. It could even be one of the crummier ones, but they're still scared of it and they might kill it over something even better in play just by having it. But
For
that
me,
card is
the
very
big
strong.
draw of this card is the fact that it doesn't tie up your mana like many of the other morphs do. The fact that it only unmorphs for 1 mana means that you're going to have extra mana available to you to do something else on your turn instead of bluffing like you're doing something else.
Again, we've got one of the uncommon tri-lands up here. I really am a big fan of those.
For me, if the Haru Specs is not in here, I'm definitely first picking the Mystic Monastery. It's just,
What is this
fixing
guy?
is so important in this set.
I had this guy in my.
Which one is
I
that?
splashed blue for simply this guy in my Mardu deck, and he was really strong. I got back my charm multiple times. It's a 3/3 for 5 with a good amount of value, and again, unlimited. When you're limited on your removal as is, being able to recycle it and on a body, it's kind. I mean, it's
Okay.
not quite Snapcaster Mage, but
Right.
it's very strong.
So again, we're going to pretend like the Haru Specs is not here. No rare in the pack.
I'm first picking this guy probably.
I'm probably going to... Oh, I forgot the Hordling Outburst is in here. I like
The double red's a little awkward too, but again, so is picking a tricolor card in your.
I'm probably
pack
going to
one.
keep myself a little color open by going with the Hordling Outburst.
Fair enough.
All right. Still fetch count at 1. Going to our next pack. Okay, there are our tokens and lands going off to the side. We'll reveal the commons first. Nothing really jumping out at me just yet. So Chief of the Scale
That's
is the
the
one on
name.
the other end of the spectrum here.
Still a fun card.
Right. And we have a mythic rare for our rare slot, and that is Surak Dragonclaw. I am definitely first picking that. I don't care if that color locks me. Being able to be flashed in, can't be countered, other creatures getting trample and getting an evasive measure, excellent first pick. I'd say if that card's in the pack, that's what I'm first picking.
That's also a guy going directly into my Animar EDH deck.
Right.
I can tell you that right now. I almost think they designed it for that deck.
Right. But if that card's not in here, where are you going with this pack? Because for me, I'm going to take a while to look at this pack to see exactly where I'm going.
This guy is pretty strong for a common. I really like that guy. I did run into a fair amount of times where I had nothing to do with that mana on turn 3, which was a little disappointing. But there were some pretty explosive turns, as you probably had similar explosive turns with your Burning Tree Emissary kind of effect.
Right.
You can be pretty explosive with that. So
The
definitely a very
lunar
cool
effect
card.
on the Abomination is also interesting, but I'm also kind of with you. Anytime you're able to play a 3/3 for 4 and then get a bonus out of it because you did something that you were supposed to be doing to try to win the game.
Especially in
anyway.
Mardu, where you're hopefully making a bunch of like small dudes and then pumping your team and being very
Right.
aggressive. He's very good at getting you to dump your hand a little quicker.
And let's not negate the fact that we have Chief of the Scale in here for the Warrior deck.
Two mana guys that are as strong as that guy is, I mean, definitely very.
But that being said, if Surak isn't in here, which this is the obvious per pick, I think I'm with you on the Mardu War Shriek.
I don't. He's nice. I don't know if he's 100%.
What's your first pick beyond-
Probably the Wooded Foothills.
Is not in this
Oh,
pack.
right. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. They're him, or I am a fan of the black-white kind of warrior thing.
All right, we'll go to the next pack.
It's like Christmas every time. God, these give me every time I'm thinking of fetches.
Every time.
Every time. Gosh,
And our
I'm
rare in this pack is a Mantis Rider. 3/3 Flying Vigilance Haste. It's almost like a Lightning Angel.
I almost feel like we've opened that before, but
I know.
he is definitely very strong. Again, just we can comment on the rare, but I think just ruling that out as a pick, and even discussing further down what are the more pickable cards in draft should be more relevant than what is our first pick. I think we've discussed plenty already that fixing is going to be very good throughout the draft, any kind of fixing.
Right.
More so the lands than these, if the format is as aggressive as we think it could potentially be. But I still stand by, I think the banners are very strong. But that might just be me reliving my
Right.
Shards of Alara days and how
Right.
strong they were then.
I think one card that's very interesting for me is this card that triggers on creatures with 4 toughness or greater dying, you draining them for 2 is a very cool effect, and being able to actually put +1/+1 counters on other creatures through sacrificing them is one way that for me seems very, very powerful to kind of chain him up and get him more powerful. He seems like an enabler in some of the 4 power greater decks. I like the build around me potential of this card because with uncommons you get a lot of build around me cards, similar to what we were talking about with the Warriors. I don't know if necessarily I want to build around this card specifically, but it's definitely something powerful.
It's a strong card. It's clearly a
Right.
strong card, and in one color. Obviously, you have a removal spell over here. And exiling the graveyard with Delve in the format, it can be relevant. It is a little
Right.
pricey, but it is an instant, which is obviously very strong. And instant speed, putting dudes into play, very good tricks.
I think though...
And Warriors, and again, if you...
Right.
This is going to be very good in that Warrior deck. Instant speed, putting in 2/1s or 1/2s, whatever, if you have the 2 drops,
Right.
very strong. So this is a pretty strong uncommon pack.
Okay, but for your first pick, what are you going to take? Obviously, if the Mantis Rider's not here.
I'm always a fan of it kind of takes me a little while to evaluate removal, and sometimes there is removal that isn't necessarily first pickable and tends to go around a little later. But I'm pretty partial to first picking removal.
So you're going with
Yeah.
I'm also going with removal. I'm probably going with Killshot. I like white in this set. I think white's very powerful, and I think that Killshot is a nice
Red
cheap
is real
combo
strong
trick.
with Arc Lightning and so on and so forth. There's some.
I
very
agree, and I'm
strong
going to hope that I pick up that removal later. Next pack coming up.
Whoa! That was my turn, isn't it?
No,
Or was that me? Oh, God.
you opened the Mantis Rider there, dear.
Jumped
Good
the gun
job.
on that one.
Still fetch count of
Nothing anyway.
1.
I'm getting ready.
Okay. We'll look at the commons first.
Hurry up with this pack. I'm
Two
getting
pieces
excited
of
about my next
fixing
one.
in here. And we have 3 uncommons in Dazzling Ramparts, Ruthless Ripper, and Horde Ambusher. And our rare is the 4-drop 4/5 in Siege Rhino. That's going to be my first pick. The fact that he comes into play and drains my opponent for 3. By the way, drain, whenever we refer to that,
Card is bonkers.
Right.
We've been playing with it in my friend's Cube, proxying it up before, obviously, the set
Right.
came out. That card, even in Cube, and when a card in Limited in Cube, where every card is good, if that card's good there, it's going to be real good here.
Yeah, it seems very, very powerful with a 3 life or a 6-point life swing coming in off him with them losing 3 and you gaining 3. Super, super powerful. Obvious first pick in this pack. Let's pretend again like he's not here and look at the rest of the pack. Ruthless Ripper jumps out at me again. Again, I was talking about earlier how being able to morph creatures with using minimal mana or no mana at all in this case.
And if he's no good as a 1/1, the 2/2 body potentially as a morph creature is sometimes good. Sometimes that's fine. And filling out your 3-drop slot. But even so, just a 1-drop death touch guy who can get in the way of, say, this guy, for example. Yeah, you take the 3 damage off the bat, but you've eliminated a pretty big
huge
threat. That
say
being said, I'm ready to move on because I opened up a foil Windswept Heath.
That is insane. So I'll get this pack out of the way. However, beyond Siege Rhino, I'm guessing you and I are both on Ruthless
Yeah,
Ripper.
that card, and I mean, there is a destroy target creature power 4 or greater card in that pack. Removal again, always good.
Right.
But yeah, here we go. Foil fetch. Unfortunately, this will be for the store, not for me.
But that does put our fetch count at 2.
That's put a fetch count at 2. And you can buy it tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. when we open.
Okay. So, obviously beyond the first pick $50 card, let's look at what else is in this pack.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Here come the other guys to look at it. All right. Anyway, I'm kind of distracted.
I'm not seeing a lot in this pack that makes me excited.
Which is why I'm fine that there's a foil Windswept Heath in this pack.
I'm fine with that too.
The promise cards are fun. What is this guy's ability again? Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card.
Looter
I'm always
guy
okay
seems-
with looters. A potentially 2/3/1 that encourages you to. I don't know. That guy's fine.
Okay, I'm with you on the Jeskai Elder. Timely Hordemate seems good as well. Being able to raid back
I'm gonna put it on
creatures with
common up there.
converted mana cost 2 or less seems good as well. And getting a 3/2
Oh,
out
that
of the
guy's
deal
insane. Yeah, that guy's bonkers.
is really good.
I would pick that guy first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we are.
After the
Also, we're going to move this up here, and the fetch count is now 2.
Woohoo! I hope in post you can add like a bong in like the fetch count, because that'd be fantastic.
Moving on to our next pack. We'll get rid of
We'll fix it
the...
in post.
Okay, so we'll look at the commons
If we can
first.
edit out Scotty's hand too, that'd be fabulous. Let's go.
If you be quiet when I'm spreading out this pack, that'd be great too. Briber's Purse, Secret Plans, and Sultai Soothsayer. And our rare in here is a Keru Lichlord, which is interesting. During your upkeep, you can return a creature card at random from your graveyard to the battlefield and basically use that as a way to, what was the mechanic from the Grixis shard in Shards of Alara?
What was the? I don't recall. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
but the mechanic was you could return the creature to the battlefield and then...
They had a lot of undying. in
Right.
them.
It would basically return it to the battlefield, and then at the end of the turn that you returned it, you would exile it. Very similar to what Keru Lichlord is doing here. For 6 mana for a 4/4, could be powerful. For me, again, talking about uncommon build-around-me cards, green-blue has a lot of morphs going on in their color, and being able to turn those cards that you're morphing up into other cards can be very powerful for you in the game. I'm probably going to take a build-around-me card here and go with Secret Plans.
Sometimes I like to just go all in on a build around me plan. Like even if it doesn't work out, sometimes it really works out and it's a lot of fun. And I'm definitely guilty of not making the correct pick, but making the fun pick and just trying to go all in on a fun plan.
So if...
Sure,
are you
I'm
ta-
okay with that.
Okay. I'm guessing you opened something very interesting in
I
your
upped our
pack.
fetch count to 3.
Sounds good.
I'm good at that. You work here. What are you doing?
I like cards.
Fair. All right. I'm going to put the fetch right up here already.
'Cause obviously
clearly
we're
first
taking
pick,
them.
a blue fetch. Clearly could be worth some money.
Beyond that,
That being said, I mean, you got more of those powerful, I believe,
I
trilands.
really
That
like
card is real
incremental
good.
growth was great in Lorwyn. It's great to see it back in another set. And it goes right into the Abzan plan of having lots of +1/+1
Oh yeah,
counters on
and things
creatures
and effects happening.
and giving
Absolutely.
them bonuses based on that.
I know. I don't. Is he a common? The guy who he's got to be uncommon.
He-
That gives all your dudes trample
he's
that have
uncommon.
counters. Yeah, that guy's really strong. And even so, you obviously have to have 3 targets upon casting it. You are. If it is like a game-winning thing and you only have 2 guys and they have the 1 guy, you can put a counter on your opponent's creature, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, just any target creature, just so you can resolve it and get the 3 and the 2 and they get the 1. So, I mean, there is that. But
Yeah.
it is a very strong card.
Yeah.
And that is
For
a
me-
lot of power for 5 mana.
Right. Outside of the Flooded Strand, this is going to be my first
Oh,
pick.
absolutely. That is just too good. That just does too much good stuff.
And to update our fetch count, we are at a fetch count of 3. Let's move on to the next pack. All right, not upping our fetch count, sadly.
Also, I opened up a Sorin Emblem, so that's fun.
That Sorin emblem went flying. Like the vampires that Sorin creates.
You're fun on the fetch over here.
Okay. So our uncommons are Madhu Blazebringer, Pine Walker, and Highspire Mantis. And our rare is a Crater's Claws. Anytime you get a Fireball in a pack, Fireball's going to be great.
I had that card. That card is insane. Whenever the the Ferocious is active, it is incredibly strong. I mean, it's a 1 mana 2 damage spell. I mean, granted it is a sorcery, but I won a game based on the fact that I was able to deal the 2 extra damage with the X spell just to kill my opponent. Its removal,
Again,
incredibly
I
strong.
think this is
really
another
like
place
that card.
where we have a rare that's an obvious first pick. Let's
Oh
look
yeah,
at the rest of the
yeah,
pack.
that's fine. And that being said about ferocious triggers in general, I think there are a large number of 4/4 creatures, and you should have a decent number of them in your pool to enable that a good chunk of the time, as well as with things like Outlast to get it active. So it's definitely.
With the rest of the
realm
pack,
possibility
what
to
are
keep that
your
active.
opinions on Bitter Revelation? Because I looked at this card when it came out. I was
Which
like, Bitter Revelation. The look at the top 4, put 2 in your hand, and then discard the other 2, and you lose 2 life.
It's kind of like a slightly worse Read the Bones. I mean, I guess you do look at 4, but and kind of get to pick 2, so you
Right.
dig a little deeper. right off the bat, but it's a fine card.
Okay.
I don't say it is first pickable, but I think
Okay.
it is definitely very strong.
So outside of the Creator's Clause, what do you see as your first pick in this pack?
I mean, a 3/3 flying trampler. I mean, evasive creature for 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. I pay 5 mana for 3/3 flyers all the time. That guy also has trample as a little added bonus. Pretty strong.
And he can go into 2 of the different wedges, which is very nice.
This guy's a little weak. He's a 4/4 for 3.
But you have to sacrifice him when he attacks
when you
or
do
blocks.
anything with him. So.
So obviously, first pick here is Creator's Clause. I think I'm with you on High Spire Mantis. That's my other first pick in this pack.
All right, what are we on? Pack like 8, 9, 10? I don't know.
Something like that.
Sure. We got a charm. We got a pretty solid rare over there again.
I think my first pick again is the Bardu Ascendancy. Again, we talked about
You're
how
locking
there's
into 3 colors, but again, with the amount of fixing, you're probably going to be able to pick up fixing right off the bat, and hopefully, at the very least, be able to share 2 colors with the rest of your deck, and maybe splash that that 3rd color along with your wedge, or
so
that 4th
again,
color.
we could talk about Mardu Ascendancy and how it's great at putting goblins into play again.
I just want to talk about the rares in the set and how cool they
Yeah.
are. There are some real. It's an EDH gold mine, and there are some real cool rares. Yeah. I don't know.
Outside of that guy, this guy is an excellent common.
Yeah, I saw people go nuts with him as an Outlast creature.
Like being able to give all your dudes with +1/+1 counters on them first strike gives them the ability to punch through in combat, and it's just a very powerful card.
Yeah,
I
and
think
obviously
probably
the charm again is
right.
pretty strong.
The Horde Ambusher, again, being able to unmorph and be able to do that for free plus get an effect out of it. I think my first pick is between these two because I believe Absent is so
This
strong.
definitely goes in the Mardu deck of an aggressive creature-based deck where you're attacking and you just like quick non-blocker, attack for 2, you know. So yeah, he's
All right.
definitely very strong.
Moving right along.
All right then.
That pack didn't like me that well. Okay, I do have a foil in this pack. So we'll start with the 9 commons that I already do have. The uncommons being Sansep Citadel, Death Frenzy, and Heir of the Wilds. The regular rare being Icy Blast, and our foil is a Tuskguard Captain, which is an uncommon 2/3. That again, that was the +1/+1 dude that you said gave creatures with +1/+1 counters on them trample. That guy is an uncommon.
Yeah, that guy is very strong. I
Yeah.
saw him do some crazy good things this past weekend.
So speaking again of rares, Icy Blast is really good.
Powerful
with the
as all hell,
ferocious
yeah.
trigger that we were just talking about with Creator's Clause.
Taking that card, I like that card. I think it's a fun card. X
Again?
spells that don't cost any more than just 1
Right.
colored mana. Very strong.
Again, outside of the rare, what are you picking as your first pick?
I like removal, obviously, right off the bat. I think this guy is incredibly strong for the. I just think Outlast is a powerful mechanic, and that is a 1 mana Outlast
Right.
mechanic. And it gives you your first turn after you
Right.
untap, it gives you a 3/4 trampler.
And you were talking about earlier with Winter Flare about how you weren't able to kill things with the 2 damage that you were doing there. Do you feel like that's a similar thing that's going to happen with Death Frenzy, with it not doing as much as it could do, giving all creatures -2, -2?
I mean, that deals with morph creatures pretty well. It can kill multiple morph creatures. I don't know how many morph creature decks are going to be in limited, how many are going to be going around to everybody or what, but there are definitely enough 2-power creatures that's a pretty powerful effect. And it in the black-green deck, I feel like you're going to have a bunch of big butt guys to survive through that. But yeah, again, I encountered a lot of dudes with like 5 toughness and or 5 power, 5 toughness that just were so hard to kill. This Outlast guy that's strong. A lot of these tri-colored guys have really.
So again, obviously
rare
first pick here is Icy Blast. I'm probably going to pick the Outlaster as my other first pick. What's your other?
It's either this one or the removal spell. Again, it depends on which pack.
All right. The issue for me is Meandering Tower Shell. It's a good blocker.
I saw so many people have him on the battlefield and just never wanted to attack with him because they're like, I can't have him gone for 2 turns or whatever.
Right.
Because the next time he comes back into play, he's going to be attacking. He's no longer a blocker. You might get the 5 in through, or when he comes back, they might have an answer for him by then. They know he's coming. I mean, obviously, against islands, he's pretty strong. He can be a clock, like a. What is it, a 6-turn clock, not 8-turn clock? Anyway, he's kind of cool. He's more of a wall, though, that occasionally deals 5 damage.
For me, the more interesting card in here is definitely the Bears Champion. being able to get 6 power for 5
I
mana.
got wrecked by that card this past weekend. Yeah,
Card's
that
good.
card's insane.
Card's very, very good.
4 power guys very good. They activate all your ferocious. So yeah, that's definitely very first pickable.
All right, let's go to the next pack. All right, so no fetch land in here yet. So we're still staying at our fetch count of 3. We'll look at the commons in this pack first. And then we'll go to the uncommons where we have Winter Flare, Armament Core, and Mardu Rough Rider. And our rare in the Trample Hexproof Morph guy.
Well, hexproof, that's not an unfun mechanic at all.
Segu Mauler. 6/6 Trampler for 6, great. 6/6 Trampler Hexproof, I don't know how I'm killing this card except for 3 for wanting myself.
There are 2 Wraths in the format, but they are rare. So
They're rare.
I
So
did get blown up by 1.
this guy's really unkillable. First pick him if you can. Let's look at what else is in this
I think
pack.
we're encountering a lot of packs that have 2 bits of fixing. It seems very common. You should be able to get some
Right.
4th, 5th pick fixing. I feel like it'll dry up, a little quickly. Again, thinking about
Right.
that. I think having good mana in this set is very important to not stuttering on your curve.
Although speaking of mana, where do you feel like those picks for mana are going to happen? About what pick? I feel like this is a very
If it's a
third,
weak
fourth
pack,
pick.
I'm going to pick it earlier, and if it's a strong pack, they could come a little bit later, like some really strong uncommons. And not everybody prioritizes fixing as strongly as I think they should, so I think
Right.
sometimes it does come later than it
I
should.
feel like Shards, this is a third, fourth pick mana set where you want to pick those fixing pieces early enough that it impacts your deck.
The tri-lands you're going to struggle to find late. The only thing about them is they are 3 colors, so some people will go, I'm not in all 3 of those colors, ship. Whereas, not realizing that it's essentially a strictly better duel, since all the duels obviously come and play tapped.
Right.
Although they do gain you a life, which is very nice.
All right, let's move on to the next pack. I believe it's yours.
Ooh, yay. I'm going to find fetch.
So, because we just have a fetch count of 3 right now.
All 3. I think that's about what you expect, 3 to 4 in a box. I think which is really exciting. That really makes this set worthwhile to open, I think. Not a fetch, that's sad.
Oh.
Once again, 2 pieces of fixing in a pack. A lot of times near the uncommon land there are 3. This guy is kind of unexciting to me. I think he's fine.
Same thing kind of goes for the Avalanche Tusker. I mean, he's a 6/4 for 5, and he makes creatures block, but outside of that...
And that's a good way to, whenever he attacks target creature, he's an abyss. He's the abyss.
Right.
You get to pick the creature. Yeah, they might be able to double block him and kill him, but then you hopefully 2 for 1 him anyway.
Right.
But he's essentially the abyss, and if you have any way to beef up that 4 toughness, he's
Right.
going to be, and he's in green, that has a lot of that pump
For
stuff.
me, though, the 2 most exciting cards in here are the Morph Creature, that morphs for free and gives you 2 life, and also gets evasion
If
when
you
you
have a
morph
white
him.
card, don't always have a white card.
Right.
Don't always
The
have
other
that blue
exciting
for
card
Force of Will.
is Treasure Cruise.
Yeah.
Being able to Ancestral Vision late game, mid game, being able to clear out your graveyard if you have nothing down there that you care about and draw 3 fresh
Yeah,
cards
absolutely.
is super, super
Yeah, drawing 3
effective.
cards late game, obviously very strong. All right, I like that rare. What do you think of that rare? That buy box promo, but in regular form. Yeah, it's a pretty cool pack. I like that rare. Again, I think might see some standard play. Should sell pretty well. Again, some nice mana fixing here.
a mana
2
elf.
2 pieces. Yeah, it's a mana elf.
It's a mana elf.
Like
I think,
yeah.
I think there's definitely some elf-like qualities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for it's a shaman.
It's a shaman. That is a shaman.
Is there anything that helps trigger with the shaman?
Not that I can think of offhand, but probably. 5/4 flyer for 7 seems a little pricey. I mean, it is. I mean, for an uncommon slot flyer, but a 5 power flyer is a pretty quick clock, and if you can get to that 7 mana, probably a pretty strong finisher. But I think for a first pick, and if we're talking pack 1, obviously excluding the the $5 rare that I may or may not first pick, good fixing again, and a strong effect in helping you jump your mana. I really like picking up the tri-land fixing right off the bat, and this is a pretty decent combat trick. That
If
can
it's got
really,
2 of your colors, there's really no downside
yeah,
to that, right?
that's,
I mean,
absolutely, yeah. So fixing again, very strong, but overall not the most exciting of packs, except for the foil basic.
foil basic land.
Yeah,
That's
right.
all yours.
Grab JP.
All right.
Oh man.
Oh.
Oh man.
What do we
Oh,
got here?
man.
Oh,
That guy is bonkers. 2-drop 2/2 with many upsides, 2 abilities, obviously really hard to kill. There are some neg effects in the set that will deal with him fine for the regeneration, but if you have enough to pump him, he's pretty good. He's a pretty strong 2-drop. So another clear first pick rare.
He kind of looks like he's got a regeneration shield.
Yeah, absolutely. Flying, first strike, and haste for a 1/2 flyer for 2. Invasive. I don't know how much pump there is in black, or I mean, again, you're going to be in a wedge, so.
They got that 1 enchantment that's +2.
Yeah, the equipment. Yeah. So I mean, he's pretty strong. Again, I really like this card. It's a removal spell. Draws a card to replace itself. Pretty strong. This Outlast guy is really strong at common level for like a 4th, 5th pick kind of guy. So.
It's almost like an old Stormseeker.
Yeah. With
Cards in
extra
hand.
abilities.
Cards in hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like them old cards.
Me too. Fetch count still at 3. Let's see if we can make that 4 right here, right now. I got bad news. It's not a fetch land. This pack, I don't know. I think I would probably first pick that Sarkhan. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I hear
So-
he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty bonkers. Pretty first pickable, pretty, money card. So I'm definitely first picking that again. A lot of first pickable rares in this set. Have you noticed that? I mean, from
Yeah.
the beginning, we've been having to say, obviously, we'd pick that.
Right.
There's been maybe 3
And then you're
or 4.
still
And then there's still
going your
fixing coming late.
third, fourth pick.
Yeah, fixing,
Mana
and then
fixing.
some really strong uncommons. I've noticed there are definitely some that are underwhelming and certainly not first pickable. I think this card's strong, but
If you go wedge,
there's definitely some better stuff there.
counters, you're going to be a little tougher in
Yeah.
wedge, but
Yeah, definitely the double mana costs are a little bit awkward, but again, that's why fixing is so important
Right.
in the set. Not only so you can curve out perfectly with the wedge cards such as this guy and cast him when you are able, as soon as you reach 6 mana or 5 mana or whatever they might cost.
this was straight money for me in sealed.
Yeah, I mean it
And a
kills
couple
all,
of
it
seals.
kills all the morph guys. It's 2 mana. I mean, so yeah, there's
there was
some good,
never a game
good
where I
removal in
didn't get
this.
that off.
Good removal in this pack. Obviously, Planeswalker.
He's still first.
But yeah, so that's a pretty strong pack. I really like that pack. And it is your turn here.
I always recommend passing the Sarkhan.
Yeah, be that guy.
I'm a giver.
Hey, back in Zendikar, I passed fetches every once in a while just to pick that sweet uncommon for my deck.
I guess we're different that way. Fetch count still at 0.
Oh,
Or
3.
3.
We're at 3.
Or at 3.
We're still at
It was
3.
0 for this pack.
Yeah, exactly. I knew what you meant.
I mean,
I was right there with you.
It could have been 2.
That's another one of those 5/7 guys. He's pretty strong again. Wow, there's 2 banners in this pack. So
And
2 to 3 pieces of
and-
fixing in
yeah.
every single pack. So yeah, we'll see how quickly people are picking that up. They might adjust. Lure effects are pretty strong. Enables you to just win the game sometimes.
Yeah.
Just totally just wins the game.
Gives you an extra.
We've talked about that guy before.
Yeah,
as you remember.
because I forget.
Yeah, he's really, really strong. Yeah, that guy blew me out at least twice
And
over the
sealed?
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're getting close to the end here. Let's see if we can. What are you betting? What are you betting our fetch count will be by the end? What do you think? Do you think we're going to stop at 3? You think that's going to be it?
No, I feel like there's another foil in here.
Okay, I'm hoping. I'm honestly going to predict 5 fetches.
I was
going
gonna
to
go with 5 also.
Okay. Oh,
It's-
ooh. Well, I'll change mine to 4 just so that maybe I can be correct over you. And we got a snake token. What does this card do? Target opponent exiles the top X cards of his or her library. You may cast any number of non-land cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them without paying their mana costs. That's pretty good.
I had that used against me in
I saw one guy that
sealed.
cast that for 5 and whiff. The guy revealed 5 basic lands.
It pretty much made me want to punch myself.
He didn't do anything?
No, when it got used against me.
Oh, it killed you. Normally, yes, very good. You
horrible.
probably want to cast that for at the very least, I would say 5. If you're really in a tight spot, or 4 rather. really in a tight spot, maybe 3. Ideally, you're casting that as a 6 or 7 drop late to just kind of. That almost makes me feel like it's a win more card, whereas you're probably already in a position to be doing fine. But if you're in a top deck war, that's going to win you right
Let
there.
them fetch out a bunch of their lands first, thin the
Yeah.
deck out, and then
Yeah.
really nail them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely a pretty average pack. One piece of fixing in this one.
One piece of fix, yeah.
The raid guys, what I like about them is, I think I saw this guy kill you over the weekend. You played him and you had to take the 4 life, and that really, really hurt you. And
I
then,
did,
And then the
yes.
guy took it from you and attacked you with it.
Yes.
So that was pretty
That was
brutal.
kind of what you'd call an
But what I do
8-point
like about the
swing.
raid, what I do like about the raid triggers is that it's not like where you have to deal damage to them. You can just attack with the guy, sacrifice it just so you can get the
There were
raid
a lot of
effect.
times
because there's some pretty powerful
that after
raid
I dropped
effects.
like the one guy that puts the 3 1/1 goblin tokens in play, or the charm that lets you drop a couple
Just
of
attack
first
with-
strikers.
just
Yeah, I
throw a
just
1/1
I
at him.
attacked with one token. It was funny because they were thinking about their block. They were like, oh man, what's he gonna do?
Sometimes they'll think it's a
and
bluff.
and all I was doing was I wanted to get my raid out because they're holding 1 card in their hand, and I dropped like Mardu, the one that comes in play tap.
And
I
they
can
think
discard
you're
their-
attacking with the guy like,
this
oh, if
guy.
I block, he's gonna
This
die.
guy, yeah, I was
Yeah.
attacking with like a 1/1 token just so I could play him when they're down to 1 or 2 cards in their hand, just to start
And
emptying
they're like,
their hand.
no blocks?
Right, yeah, and then
That's the
they
best.
still take the damage.
Dude, every once in a while, I like to just totally do the bluff attack. And
He was pretty
and they're
solid.
so confused
He
that they
was
just
really
take
solid
the damage.
in sealed also.
Anything that can get evasion, yes, I had him as well. I think he's very strong. A very good 2-drop that later in the game can just
Can do
start
something for
squeaking
you.
through the last bit of damage, especially in a Mardu deck where you can potentially run out of gas in the late game with all of the
For sure.
big guys. Yeah. I'm still hoping for that 4 so I can win the bet.
Wait for it.
Sorry.
Wait for it.
Again, I still like this guy. I think he's pretty strong. Helps you poop your hand on the table.
We're going to stop saying mana fixing.
Yeah, mana fixing good.
And another fetch.
Mana fixing. Look at that good mana fixing right there.
I can't believe how amazing the mana fixing is in this pack.
With a fetch land? Oh, I would first pick that just for the mana fixing.
Yeah, and not really. Honestly, they're not worth that much.
Yeah, the Pluto Delta's what, 25 right now, I think?
30, but you know.
Sure. $100 for the foil.
Let's not split hairs.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
This guy, Ponyback Brigade.
Yeah, that guy's insane.
He was great for me.
And again, that's why I've heard some people saying they want to play 2-color decks in this format because I don't know why actually.
I liked him because
But
his
being able to
triggered
play-
regardless of the morph.
Even the common level guys who are all 3 colors of a wedge are just so strong that it just so strongly encourages you to play the 3 colors, I think. So.
I just liked him because you could do it. His thing did not trigger off morphing.
Oh yeah,
It's no matter what.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the
He's
few
he is
that
one of the few that
actually
when he comes
did
into
something
play,
no matter what. So
or
you draw
morph
him
in.
late game, and you're like, man, I could really use some reinforcements.
Yeah, you just
And then
play him
there he
face
comes.
up. Yeah,
Yep.
100% agree with you on that. Yeah, that guy's very strong. Is it my turn? Yeah, you
Yeah.
opened that Pluto Delta. That's right. Fetch count to
Delta.
4, ladies and gentlemen. You hear that? There's a good chance you could open 4 fetches when you buy a box of Khans of Tarkir.
This box, you could say, is 4 loco.
I hate you. Got it. No foil. Oh, if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be. Oh yeah, that's another one that's going to my Animar EDH deck, I think. There's a plenty. I mean, any Outlast dude that's insane with when you place the 1/1 counter, you just put 2. That's really really good. Obviously, that card is bonkers with that uncommon that places 1, 2, and 3 +1/+1 counters because then it's 2, 3, and 4. Like that just gets crazy.
Yeah, there's nothing, I guess, other than that, maybe overwhelming.
I mean, obviously, removal spell.
This guy was really good early.
Outlast
because
guys are fine.
he's essentially a wall
He
until
doesn't
you're
have
ready to make
defender,
him something
so
else.
he can be
Yeah.
a wall early game at a 1-drop to stop a lot of those like Mardu aggressive guys, like that 3/2 2-drop. That guy actually shut me down.
And in
over the
sealed,
weekend.
there was not a lot to do on turn 2.
And then late game, yeah,
There
And
was
then
just
late
not
game-
a lot to do on turn
And
2
then late
in
game,
this
you were
format. So
you can just outlast him. He
Yeah.
had I saw him as a 4/8 one time and win the game. So yeah, he's definitely Outlast is definitely very strong.
he was just, and this was straight money.
Oh yeah, obviously, very good removal spell. unfortunately, with the way it's worded now, you can't do the Oblivion Ring, bounce it or destroy it upon resolution to permanently exile it, but...
No.
You suck.
I think that's a little strong, but you know.
Sorry.
Mana fix. We did get a charm, got a despise, mythic rare.
That card is insane. That card wrecked me. 2, 3, 4 flyers for the cost of 5. Obviously, you have to have the raid trigger. He's still a 3/4 power flyer for 5, which is pretty good. What is the second thing? Whenever he attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking. Wow, I didn't recall that.
If you attack with a creature this turn, put a 3/4 bird in
yeah,
play.
you get 2, 3, 4
Also,
birds, except this one has the
just-
ability of whenever you attack with a dude, you get 1 life
Yeah.
for each dude attacking. So
Yeah.
it's almost like Vigilance in the sense that when you're attacking and not leaving back blockers,
You're
you
offsetting
potentially offsetting their attack back with the life
sure,
gain.
for
So I mean,
sure.
obviously, clearly a bonkers mythic.
Charms are
that
all
I would
great.
easily first pick. 1 color.
Charms are all amazing.
Yeah, the charms are all just so multi-purpose that it's hard to pass them up. Preemptive removal, Sarkhan or the Sorin.
Right,
this
right.
is fine card. Alrighty, let's see. What did I get? I guess we'll start second row.
Love it.
Let's see what do we got here.
Goblins.
I saw this guy do some work. Just the amount of life gain. He includes himself, so when he dies, you do gain the 4 life off of him. And it's the toughness, and I feel like there are a lot more guys that have higher toughness as opposed to power in this set, with all of the walls that there are, for example. This wall is pretty strong too. I mean, obviously tapping a creature down is good. Like, so you can either discourage their attack with that guy because he's a 0/7, and then when they don't attack, you tap their dude down anyway at end of turn so that you're able to get your attacks through. Just a very strong.
This
card.
was the Huckleberry here that hit me with the 4/5 that I lost 4 life in sealed to bring him in play. If I
Right,
didn't raid that turn, I had to
right.
lose 4 life.
Yeah.
Then he morphed this guy over, took my 4/5 because I was in a tight spot. So then he was taking all of my stuff and attacking
And
away,
even-
and it was rough.
and just
It
based
was
on
just
his,
rough. His casting cost is
Well,
perfect. I mean,
it doesn't even, like, even if you cast him as a 3-drop early and then later you cast him for 3 again, even as just 5 mana, just put him face down, or 6 mana, put him face down and morph him immediately. That's still pretty good for that effect.
It was ridiculous.
But yeah, that guy's. I don't know. Morph is scary. It horrifies me. I just never know what to expect. And especially when you're doing the pre-release weekend, where you actually don't know what all the morph cards are, so you really have no idea what to
Yep.
expect. Like, I don't know what the tricks are, and then it just turns out it's like that 4/4 artifact guy. And you're like, oh, I can kill that. Fine.
For sure.
Yeah. That is a pack. Scott, your turn. JP. It's your turn, JP.
Or am I?
I blew your cover. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I wonder if we actually fooled anyone.
How many of you noticed? Post in the comments now and let us know if we fooled you.
Unless there's something else in these packs, Scott's officially right on the fetch
Hey,
count.
you said 5. I said 4.
I know. Unless there's something else in those that
That's
would make us
officially wrong.
both wrong.
You said 5. I said 4. Right now I'm correct.
Boom!
Don't, son of a biscuit eater. That's what you meant. You had information I was not privy to, and that is upsetting to me right now.
I insider trade.
I knew it. Man, a 5 fetch box. I think that's insane. I love it. All right.
Banned word of the day. Insane.
Insane. All right. So this is going to go into our fetch count.
Other banned word of the day.
Fixing.
Man fixing.
That's 2 words.
That's 2 words.
I'm going to throw
Anybody
fixing as our
keeping
word.
track at home, that's 3 words banned today.
And a 5 man, what, 5? Bing, bing.
All right, what do we got here? Obviously picking the fetch because,
Because that's what you do.
this is an insane box. 5 fetches, a Sarkhan.
Kind of.
I think we had 2 or 3 other mythics. Like, this is a really good box. And I just,
I don't even
it
care
just,
about the rest of this.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done caring about this pack. I'm too
Because
excited.
so were you when you were drafting. You,
I don't really care about this pack.
and you moved on.
Could there be 6?
God, I hope Scott's wrong so badly.
Which would just make us both wrong.
Oh, no, it's not a fetch, but whatever. I'm already wrong, so I don't care. I just want
I know, you just want
you to I want you to be as wrong as me, or as close as possible. Hey, I initially said 5 too. I just changed just so we could be on different ground.
See, and I was willing to agree.
Oh man, that just tells you what kind of person I am. What do we got here? Another. That's our third 5/7 guy, whatever that guy's called.
Ivory Tusk.
Ivory Tusk Fortress. Yeah, that guy's cool.
He's practically a fortress.
Yeah, practically. Man, I'm just so excited about our fetches. I can't focus anymore. This guy, again, I think is very strong. I'm tempted to first pick him. I'm not huge on Jeskai, but again, I played him in a Mardu deck and just splashed. Groove of having one of each fetch, which I just noticed.
What would you call that?
Mana fixing.
Band phrase of the day.
Synergy.
It's the word of the day. That is not a full fetch.
That is
there,
not.
JP.
A foil. I didn't say it was a fetch.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
just said it felt like a foil. Miscut tokens.
Arc Lightning. That's the first Arc Lightning we have seen. Are you kidding me? That is. I mean, that card is pretty awesome. Despite the fact that I did mention that there are a lot of guys with 4 and 5 toughness in this set and some big butts, and this won't kill them. I did have used some major utility with that card in like attacking. They block one of my guys or 2 of my guys, and I'm able to kill them. Like. Finish off the damage to both those guys because you can distribute it.
And I did it once just to get that extra point of damage through to a player.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Clear the creature out and then throw the extra.
Yeah, absolutely, totally fine. So.
Yep. So are you saying that we've got more
fetch
fetch lands in this set than we have Arc
Lightning?
Lightning?
Yes, I am. That is insane.
For all you keeping track at home, that's 1 Arc Lightning.
All right. Let's see if I can open us another Arc Lightning.
I feel like there's a foil Sarkon in here.
I'm feeling the foil Sorin, but.
Or Sorin.
Guess who's wrong?
Guess who's both wrong? We're all wrong today.
This box is insane. Not
This
only
box, banned word of the day, insane. This box
Mana fixing is insane in this box.
Ridiculous.
And another Arc Lightning. Oh my god. Whoa!
This is like
Extreme close up. Ooh, whoa!
this is like Pee Wee Herman and
God, is anybody going
Times
to
Square.
get a Wayne's
Am I allowed
World
to say
reference?
that?
All right. So anyway, we're up to fetch count of 6 with dubs on the polluted delta. So and another Arc Lightning, very high
So
pick
our
for me. Double
keeping track
charm.
at home, we still have as many polluted deltas in this box as Arc Lightnings.
This is true.
Fact.
So,
That just happened.
That's pretty insane. I honestly am impressed with the fetch count of 1 box. But yeah, I think we're getting down to the end. We're just kind of another. Obviously,
Yep.
this uncommon stack is insane. In this
2
pack.
charms in there.
Yeah. So I'm.
You got
Depending on what
options
pack
when you
it
open that
is.
pack.
Yeah, depending on what pack it is, you might already know which wedge you're going to be in.
If you already pulled your second polluted delta.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen a trumpet blast either.
Oh yeah, I think you're right on that.
That's
Meh. The band phrase of the day is in here.
Ooh. Yeah, that guy, I think we mentioned him earlier. Very strong card. Another reason why Outlast is so good. That one gets you a lot of value. Very good Mardu card. He's a 1-drop. That's a 1/2. I mean, how could you hate a 1-drop? That's that powerful. We went double charm into double outpost or double tri-lands.
Yep.
I think so. You're going to get like a 4th or 5th pick if someone else down the road from you to open this up. Tri-land or someone will be. So there's definitely potential to get the tri-lands a little later. So.
That might be important with the other
It's definitely
exile
good, it's
enchantment.
definitely a fine sideboard card.
Good sideboard card.
Not something I would first pick. All right, what did I already open my pack? Yeah, I'm prepared. Oh boy. I opened a forest and a mythic.
See the unwritten. You are actually seeing the unwritten. With your
I've seen that
eyes.
card do some crazy things. Obviously not as good as what was the trap card that you instant speed could look at the top 7, put it into play. And that was, I believe, when Primeval Titan was in the format, so that was real good. We'll see what this guy does. Obviously with Ferocious, it gets a lot better. Putting 2 dudes into play, but it is 6 mana. You can't cheat it to being cheaper like
Yeah,
you could
this
the
isn't
trap.
this isn't an overwhelming Treasure Cruise is pretty nice, I guess. If you,
Yeah,
you know,
we were talking about how much
mid-late
we like
game,
that
you,
card.
yeah, I mean, other than that,
This card's actually pretty strong too. I think in like the aggro creature sort of decks,
Mm-hmm.
helping you. You're paying life. Yeah, you're kind of doing the suicide black thing where you're drawing cards and paying life. While
I
you're,
used that in
while you're meeting your
one of my
goal of
pre-release
crushing them.
ones, and it was okay. I ended up drawing a couple of cards off of it.
Yeah.
That was probably about it. I probably drew like 2 cards total. Because by the time you get it out, we have a foil. I don't think it's very good. And a foil mastodon.
Ooh, a foil 2/8 for 5. I am first picking that guy all day. And by that I mean not. Righty. Yeah, this equipped creature has defender and 2 tap. Other creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the creature's power. That's definitely pretty strong. I mean, that can, if all of you,
Feels like a finisher.
yeah, it's definitely a finisher. It's a pretty strong card. It's colorless. It doesn't commit you early to something. I think that's a fine first pick, especially in this pack that's not particularly crazy.
I've talked about him before, but I really liked him in Sealed.
Oh yeah, that guy actually
I
like
really
blew me out a
liked
couple
that
of
guy.
times. Just being, I mean, 2/1s for 2. It's a nice place on your curve. Plus, he has a pretty relevant ability that can really slow your opponent down.
Yep.
And in the late game, still can do something. Make them discard their bomb that they've been holding on to, or what have you.
Yeah.
Looks like we are going to end with a fetch count of 6. Which is fine by me. That is a very strong fetch count. But I did open up one last foil, although it is a common foil, so not terribly exciting. And that is the Ascendancy of Jeskai. I think all of the Ascendancies are pretty strong. I got crushed by the Timur Ascendancy during the pre-release. Of course, my opponent cast 7 of his 8 4-power creatures during that game. You know who you are.
I liked him.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. I mean, he was just solid. He's
Solid 1-drop.
One
yeah.
drop.
I played him in my deck too. In my
Death
Marty
touch.
deck.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's nothing overwhelming in this.
Yeah.
The haste guy, he might even be a little better.
How many mythics did we end up in this
Early
pack
pick.
too? Looks like we got. That's enough for that pack. And that is pretty much all we got out of that box. And I think that was a really good box, and it's encouraging me to do what I think many people were planning on doing anyway,
Open a box.
which is opening a box of this set. Obviously, doing
Play
all
as
drafting
many
is good.
drafts as you can.
If it's anything like Zendikar when fetches came back, people will draft the heck out of this format, and just to get the fetches.
They'll
And
be
that
better off
really
for
makes
it.
it worth your time to draft. And not to
There's-
mention, drafting's a blast. So this is what we opened, our final fetch count of 6. It looks like we got a mythic count of 1, 2, and a Sarkon 3. 3 mythics is about average. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. 3 mythics, 6 fetch lands, 1 foil fetch land, and I think there's another foil rare in here somewhere that I have misplaced. But yeah, I would say it is definitely worth your
All
time
in all-
and money to get a box of Khans of Tarkir. I lost the box. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
We're-
tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoyed our input on mana fixing and how insane this set is.
Banned word of the day.
And this is Jacob, and
JP.
signing off. Thank you very much.